Hey everyone, welcome back to Pop Incursions. I'm Nico, and today we are going to be breaking down and discuss the alleged leaked episode plots for What If Season 2.
Chaos magic.
And yet I was the bad guy.
We are not killing anyone!
He doesn't mean that.
Telekinesis if you can't even aim.
Do you want to do it?
Hey, Donna.
Oh, banner, holy ho!
Met with a monkey stick.
With all videos like this, we cannot be 100% sure that this is the truth. It comes from credible sources that are usually correct, but of course there's no way in making sure it is actually true until Marvel announces it officially. So with that, like all of these updates and news, take it with a pinch of salt. But with that said, there is a lot of different, new and exciting episode plots and stories coming in the second season of Marvel's What If. I am very excited about it. All of the episode descriptions come from credible sources, although according to Can We Get Some Toast, another credible resource, they have said that the episode described as What If Wanda Grew Up Watching Musicals Instead of Sitcoms is not the episode, and it has nothing to do with the episode that is about Wanda or the Scarlet Witch. Now, of course, that's up to each person to take as a grain of salt as to whether you want to believe that or not. But like with all of these leaks or rumors, they're not 100%, so do only take them with a grain of salt. But some of these descriptions, we can definitely assume that they are actually closer to being true than untrue, especially for the episodes around Kahhori, the Indigenous American, as well as the episodes about Hela, Captain Carter, as there has been previous leaks to do with these characters. So the first episode will be an episode that was supposed to be in the first season, and it is the episode that is about Gamora. And this is also the episode where we see Gamora with Tony Stark in what looks to be a Hulkbuster-like suit, and is likely from Sakaar. So it looks very exciting, and this was the missing piece of the puzzle as to why Gamora was in the first season when we didn't get an episode to explain her origins, and now we're finally getting it. So the first episode is What If Gamora Killed Thanos, and this explains a lot because we see Gamora with Thanos' blade in the last episode of What If Season 1. So that explains as to why she has it, and it also explains why her and Tony are in what I think is Nidavellir to make the Infinity Crusher, which destroys the stones instead of being able to control the stones. The next episode is described as a follow-up to what was kind of the end credit for Season 1, which was Captain Carter finding the Hydra Stomper suit in modern times. And it is called What If Captain Carter Finds Hydra Stomper? And of course, the biggest question that came after that finale in relation to Captain Carter and the Hydra Stomper was, is Steve still alive in the suit? And if so, that means we will be getting to see more of Skinny Steve, aka the Hydra Stomper, and Captain Carter. And for me, Captain Carter is like the breakout star from What If. And I think not only should Agent Carter the series be made canon to the MCU, but we should be getting a Peggy Carter related Disney Plus series, or at least a special presentation about being Captain Carter. But I will digress. The next episode relates to the leaked new character Kahhori. If I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, I apologize. This was leaked via Funko Sodas because they had released this Funko Soda even though obviously the episode has not been aired yet. But we did learn that this is a brand new character, Kahhori. I really hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I apologize. And I apologize again because I'll probably mispronounce it. But it is, what if the Tesseract landed in the Haudenosaunee Confederacy before America was colonized? And this is obviously the introduction to the new hero Kahhori, who is an indigenous person and will look at similar to what is Black Panther and now Namor the Submariner with Talokan that we saw in Wakanda Forever. This is now the third time that the MCU will be looking at this neo-futurism of what if these indigenous people were able to evolve by themselves without colonization. Personally, I love what the MCU does with indigenous people and neo-futurism, with taking away the colonizer and the colonization and seeing, well, what would that civilization become if they could evolve by themselves? The next episode description is, what if Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne fought the Red Guardian during the 1980s? Now, we know from the Ant-Man franchise that Janet being in the quantum realm was because her and Hank were trying to stop a missile during the Cold War, and that's how she was stuck in the quantum realm, because she had to go subatomic. I think this will give us likely a variation of that, where instead of a missile they're fighting Red Guardian, and instead of being stuck in the quantum realm it may be something else. And I'm actually quite excited because we're starting to see phase 4 and phase 5 stories and characters being brought in to What If, because of course the first season of What If was very phase 1 to 3 based, so I'm very excited to start seeing all of this. The next episode is What If Yondu delivered Star-Lord to Ego. Of course, this links back to the first season where we saw Star-Lord T'Challa, because at the end of that episode we saw the teaser for this, which will be Star-Lord and Ego. However, I will make a distinction that this, I assume, would be What If Yondu delivered Peter Quill when he was still a child. So I think this will be very different. And it's about time we're getting this story, because we've kind of heard a lot about Star-Lord, Ego, and obviously we saw that in Volume 2, and then in What If with Star-Lord T'Challa it was touched on. So I think that we will not only finally get to see this, but we'll actually learn, because the fact that Ego was able to be like a biological intelligent species that isn't a celestial, more like a human or humanoid as they're referred to in the MCU, it leaves us with a lot of questions, and the same applies just to the basic story. How is he going to do this? Why does he need, Peter? All of these type of questions will hopefully be answered. The next episode is What If Happy Hogan Saved Christmas. This is the only episode from the series that will be centered around Christmas. This will be episode 6, so I don't know if they'll move it up to episode 1 to make a tie-in with Christmas, or if they'll leave it. Now, I think out of all of the What If episodes, this one could be possibly the most random, because what's going to be the impending doom upon Christmas that Happy Hogan needs to save? And I have seen a little bit of hate around this episode, that people are like, we didn't ask for this, so how is this going to be like a What If? But it's the MCU, people. Of course there's going to be a much more dramatic and exciting spin put on this, where likely a new hero or a new world will form. So I'm intrigued, because of course Ironman 3 is also surrounded with Christmas, so I don't know if it will, deal with the Mandarin, for example, or if it's going to be maybe linked to the zombie apocalypse episode and it's Christmas in that context. We shall see. The next episode is one of the most exciting, and this is, I think, going to be a very popular episode. What if Wanda had grown up watching musicals instead of sitcoms? And this... Now, just to let you know, another credible source, Can We Get Some Toast, who I'm sure some of you may be familiar with, came out and said that this episode description is incorrect and it will not be about anything to do with Wanda and Pietro watching musicals instead of sitcoms, and it will not be a WandaVision Westview where it's a musical instead of sitcoms. So it's looking like the episode that surrounds the Scarlet Witch is TBD. We do not know what it is about yet, but I'm sure it will be something very interesting. I will say I kind of missed Elizabeth Olsen's presence in season 1 of What If, because obviously we saw the Scarlet Witch as a zombie, but that's just somebody, you know, moaning or grunting. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Scarlet Witch looks like in animation in What If, but also what the story is about. Is it going to be more about perhaps her powers and link it to the witchcraft, or perhaps back to Hydra and the scepter? Or will it be more personal to Wanda, where it could look like a situation at WandaVision or with Pietro or Vision and her 2 boys? We shall see. The next episode is about what if Odin and Hela had faced Wenwu. So I'm assuming this is Odin and Hela in their conquering and colonizing days, if they had came to Earth and they faced off against Wenwu. We saw in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings that he had been alive for thousands of years, and as well that he had conquered part of the world at least. So this is conquerors versus conquerors, and who's going to win? And I don't know, I think for me, I'm biased anyway because I love the Thor franchise, especially Ragnarok and Hela, one of my favourite villains. I'm going to say Odin and Hela will win because all Hela has to do is point her arm that way and a necro sword comes out to kill him, and then that's it. However, possibly the 10 rings, maybe because that we know it is linked to Kang technology, maybe there will be more of a resistance. But Odin and Hela together, that seems very powerful even for the 10 rings. So not just who wins, but then what would, for example, Earth look like if it was part of the 9 realms? And I know it already was, but I mean truly part, where Thor comes to, you know, protect us on a regular basis, and Odin is our leader, things like that, instead of what we have seen in our own MCU timeline. Then the last episode is another one I'm very excited for because it has big ties to the Thor franchise, is What If Avengers had fought Surtur. Now, Surtur is the big fiery beast that was at the beginning of Ragnarok and at the end, who ultimately was the destruction of Asgard, and he had been prophesized to cause Ragnarok and be Asgard's doom. So that's going to be very interesting because we saw very quickly in Ragnarok how fast he can just, the whole planet in flames, and then eventually it explodes. So that's going to be a big one for the Avengers. Like, if that was an Avengers film, I think it would be possibly bigger than both First and Age of Ultron Avengers combined, because yes, it's a world level threat, but this is truly a world level threat. It's a giant fiery beast that can set a place on fire like that. It's not like aliens coming to New York and then eventually making their way around the rest of the world. And similar to Ultron, yes, he needed time. That was one of his kind of weaknesses, was he needed time to get his plan together. Surtur just has to, like Hela, point his arm and boom, it all goes to hell. So I'm very excited for season 2 of What If, both for the episodes, to break them down here at the channel, but of course the Funko Pops as well, because there's a lot. We know Loki and the Marvels are still supposed to come out this year alongside What If, Let me know what you think down below, and make sure you click that subscribe button for more videos, not just Marvel news, but we break down trailers, episodes, films, and we feature a lot of Marvel Funko Pops. I'm Nico at Pop Incursions. See you next time.